Rev up your engines! Today I'm going to talk about something that really pisses me off. Cheap plastic parts on cars. Now, cars for a long time have had a lot of cheap plastic crap, from plastic grills, plastic underlayments, plastic bumpers, plastic door handles that break, plastic dashes, and of course, worst of all, plastic engine parts, and plastic radiators, plastic cooling system, plastic everything. Now granted, the plastic parts used to be better made than they are today. This is a 94 Celica. Original door handle. It's never been replaced. It still works fine. Now, of course, if it was a solid metal door handle, it would last forever. You'd never have to worry about it. But at least back in 94, the plastic was a bit stronger. Take this matrix. It's 13 years newer than the Celica. It's already had 2 door handles replaced, and it's going to have this one replaced too. Because if you look closely, you'll see I've actually glued it together here. If I pull on it, it'll snap off. I just glued on it so it looks like there's a door handle. I'm waiting for one to come in the mail. Now, why are they using these plastic parts? It's cheaper to make them. They can give you all the BS in the world that, oh, they're saving weight, but really, in a door handle, what kind of weight is that? And even in this case, on an intake manifold, the weight saving is really minimal because it has to be really thick plastic here under the heat of the engine, and it doesn't weigh that much different than an aluminum intake manifold would, or even a steel intake manifold. It's just that they're so much cheaper to manufacture. Take the case of this intake manifold. Okay, if it was made out of metal, it has to be forged in metal, cast, then taken out, and then it has to be all ported and polished to make it smooth. But with plastic, they don't need to do all that polishing. So it's just faster and cheaper to make them. That's why they're making them that way. Take my old Celica, the intake manifold is made out of metal. It's never been touched. It's perfectly fine. The gasket's original. But take the matrix, 13 years newer, plastic intake manifold. I've already had to replace the intake manifold gasket. You got a plastic intake manifold on a cast aluminum head. The aluminum expands and contracts with heat differently than the plastic, and the gasket started to leak. That's not going to happen with metal on metal, but with this, it happens all the time. And look at these plastic headlamps. Look, you can see they're all scratched up and everything already, and these particular ones have only been on for about 3 years. And here's a Celica. 26-year-old. It's glass. It's still perfectly shiny. It may be dirty, but it's not like that plastic crap. So we're living in a plastic, fantastic society, as the song used to go. But what can you do about this? Well, there's a few things you can try. I found that when you have plastic things that crack, maybe a piece breaks off, this Tech Bond is great. Activator accelerant in it. You spray that on the plastic first, and that starts softening it up. Once you activate it and put the super glue on, it can hold on quite well, especially if it's something that isn't being stressed all that much. Like if a grill gets cracked, you can glue pieces back on. They'll generally last a while. Although here, I've got it on, but it's not structurally sound. I'm waiting on a new door handle, like I said. At least I was able to glue it on so it won't fall off and look stupid while I'm driving down the road waiting for the handle to come in the mail. And stuff like plastic dashes, hey, you can prevent them from cracking in the first place with just a little maintenance. This lithium seal and squeal works really good. I've been trying it out for a while. It cleans it, but it seals it so the UV rays don't destroy it. As you can see, there's no cracks in this. And see how shiny it made this facade of the Android radio? It will prevent cracks, which is kind of a minor miracle in this car because I bought it used from a guy from Phoenix, Arizona, where there's all that sun and heat. Then it's in hot, humid Texas. So it spent a lot of time in a hot sun and it still isn't cracked. And the reason for that is that plastic contains plasticizers. It keeps it supple. Well, as long as you don't let those things dry out completely, they will not crack. And when you seal them with something like this, not only do they shine, but they're going to repel the rays and the crackiness. And they're going to keep the plasticizers intact inside the plastic by sealing it from it all vaporizing outside, even in the hot Texas sun. So really, any naked plastic parts, you can seal it, say 4 times a year. Clean it up, seal it, polish it. That's going to make it last longer and not crack and then get brittle and break off. Unfortunately, there's nothing you can do about plastic radiators. Their deterioration is more from the inside out to the exterior. That You basically just keep clean cooling it and hope the plastic was made well enough, because when it does crack and break, you just buy another radiator. But at least there you don't often have to spend a small fortune, because the Chinese replacement radiators, they're plastic too, and aluminum. They're all plastic and aluminum. They don't cost that much, and from my experience, they work perfectly fine. I've been buying them for decades now, and I've never had one that I replaced in a vehicle that I had to years later replace again. Plastic, hey, the Chinese make it as good as anybody else, and instead of buying a $500 radiator, if you can get one for $100, there's nothing wrong with doing that. They're easy jobs. You don't have to spend the $500. So at least it's not that big of a pain if you do it yourself. Now, if you're working under the hood of a car that's getting to be older, like this 13-year-old Matrix, and you're taking things apart, and you're getting near these plastic parts, be very careful. They're brittle. They can easily snap off. So don't whack them with a wrench. If, say, they've got a clamp on them, take the clamp off of both sides and try to carefully wiggle it a bit at a time to get it off. Don't just grab it and jerk it off, because odds are the plastic piece will then just snap right off. But if you do break some plastic piece off, I've had pretty good luck over the years using this JB Weld Quick. It's 2-tube epoxy. You just mix together whatever you want to hold it together. Now, I say quick because it sets up in 4 minutes. But don't make that think that it's ready in 4 minutes. It sets up in 4 minutes. Fully cured in 4 hours. So don't use it for 4 hours. I've fixed many plastic parts with them. And here's another tip. Let's say you got a plastic sensor and it's got a little male end that sticks off, and you snap that off and you want to get it back on. What you can do is get a little small straw, copper tubing, whatever you can find that fits inside the hole. Then you slide it over that and then glue all that together. So you still got the air or coolant or whatever goes inside, sealed inside, and then you put the JB Weld on the outside, and after 4 hours, believe me, it works. I've done this on some cars that 5 years later, they're still working, and the part hadn't had to be replaced. And you might think, oh, it's just a plastic sensor. Some of these stupid little plastic sensors will be $175. And if just a plastic piece is cracked off to them, use the JB Weld. Put them back together again. Now let's say a plastic coolant hose breaks. With that, my advice is, if you can, get a metal replacement parts. Many companies like Dorman, they'll make metal replacement parts for the plastic crap. Remember, they're only using the plastic crap because it's cheaper to make it that way. It's not better. So if you get one that breaks and you can replace it with something metal, by all means do that. And remember, especially for exterior plastic parts and ones that are in the interior of the car, park in the shade as often as you can. The temperature difference between the outside of the car in the sun and the outside of a car in a covered parking lot or under a tree is phenomenal, and it's even more phenomenal between the inside of a car that's in the sun and one that is not in the sun. It's going to be a lot cooler. You're going to have a lot less problems if you take a little time, park it in the shade somewhere. You're going to be happier in the long run. Because let's face it, plastic is here to stay. So you want to lessen the impact that that's going to have on your car by keeping it out of really hot situations as often as possible. And since this is Mechanic Monday, I'm giving away a case of this JB Weld Quick Epoxy System, so you can fix some of that plastic crap if it does break. Remember, to have a chance to win, place a clean, non-offensive comment on the YouTube comments below, and a winner will be chosen randomly by computer to get some great 2-tube epoxy to fix that plastic junk on your car when it does break. So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.